Whenever you're dealing with an apologist for Islam, or even a Muslim, and you bring up jihad, almost immediately they kick back to you. Well, what about those terrible crusades? Why, they're the moral justification for jihad. I mean, we're just as bad as they are, so let's not talk about jihad, okay? Let's talk about the crusades. Well, what I would like to talk about here are facts. And it turns out I sat down and put together some work, and I created a database of some 548 battles that Islam fought, jihad battles against classical civilization. And these aren't even all the battles. It really doesn't say much about Africa and India, Afghanistan and all that. It's primarily the battles against the classical civilization of Rome and Greece. So, 548 battles is a lot, and it's too much to even comprehend. So I created something which I call a dynamic battle map, in which you have a display of the Mediterranean, and a white dot means that this 20-year period, that's a new battle. So every time the screen changes, it's 20-year period. The colors white turn to red, so you can see a history. This may seem a little confusing, but I think when you see it, you'll know exactly what I mean. And here it starts. Islam burst out of the Arabian Peninsula and immediately starts attacking the Middle East. And notice that it doesn't take long until they're crossing the Mediterranean and attacking southern France and Spain. Notice something here. Most people think of Islam, they think of Arabs, they think of desert, and yet here we see that Islam is projecting power throughout the Mediterranean. Notice how the little islands of the Mediterranean are getting hammered. The navy of Islam would attack coastal towns, kill, rob, rape, and then take slaves. So this whole battle map, as it unfolds, you're seeing slaves being taken. Over 1 million slaves were taken out of Europe into the Islamic world. That's something you don't think about much, but it's absolutely true. There were over 200 battles fought in Spain alone. And we also see, however, on the east coast in Turkey, that Islam is trying to break into Europe. Now, what's going to happen is, in Spain, this ongoing fight that lasted for 400 years, the Christians are going to push back the Muslims. But now then, what has happened over in the east is that Constantinople has fallen, and now then Eastern Europe is getting hammered. The jihad now comes to Eastern Europe. It's pushed out now of Spain. Northern Africa is now completely Islamic. The Middle East is completely Islamic. This is all jihad, relentless jihad. And why is it so relentless? Well, Muhammad was relentless in his jihad. And these people are good students of Islam, and so it's against the kafir, on and on. It was traditional that when the Sultan came to power, the brand new Sultan, he would immediately try to launch new wars, because he was going to be noted in his Islamic history as to how well he fought against the kafir. So that's what the jihad looked like over that time period, 548 battles. But remember, when you bring up jihad, people want to bring up the Crusades. So I also prepared a dynamic battle map of all the offensive raids of the Crusaders. Let's watch it and make a comparison. And so it begins. The Crusades enter into Turkey and the Middle East. Battles go on, but aren't there far fewer than you thought there might be? And here we go. The last battles are fought, and that is the end of the Crusades. So now then we can talk about some facts. Yes, there were Crusades, but notice they ended centuries ago, and jihad is being practiced today. Jihad has been with us for 1,400 years. There is no comparison between jihad and the Crusades, certainly not a moral comparison. And when you're looking at the Crusades, remember, in one sense, all of the Crusades were defensive wars. Why? Well, as we saw on the first jihad map, it was Islam that came out of Arabia and conquered the Middle East, a Christian Middle East. And so the Crusaders were trying to free their Christian brothers and sisters from jihad. So there's no moral comparison at all. The motivation of the Crusaders was to free Christians. The purpose of jihad is to enslave the kafir.
At last we find what we have been searching for 6 months along the Persian Gulf. An open market in human beings. This one takes place in the courtyard of an old fort. 3 men and 3 women are on sale, all Africans. They appear resigned to their fate. Not all slaves come from black Africa. They can also be procured on the Arabian Peninsula. Sometimes all you have to do is organize a party. Slaving parties. There's music, dancing, laughter, the kind of entertainment that doesn't take place every day in the desert. The girls come out of the shelter of their homes. They arrive from nearby villages. The canny organizers of the party have accomplished their purpose. They can study the girls at their leisure. Decide which ones they will try to buy from their fathers or their husbands. Which ones they will have to kidnap. Slavery, we are told, has been abolished. In point of fact, it still survives. A newspaper story leads us to the Greek, a well-known brothel keeper who operates in a number of African cities. Not satisfied with the normally large profits of his trade, the Greek has devised a cunning scheme for doubling them. In a small villa on the outskirts of an African city on the Red Sea, he gathers the children of his prostitutes in what is officially called an orphanage. Actually, it is a training school for slaves. For the first few months, the mothers can visit their children. Then, the Greek takes over, rearing the children and training them until they are old enough to be of commercial interest to the traders of the Middle East. Prices vary according to age, color of skin, and the work the child is intended for. These little girls will eventually land either in a harem or in a brothel.
Mbarka Mint Yarba doesn't know how old she is. Born into slavery, she spent the long days of her childhood tending to her master's animals. Mother and the rest of her family lived in slavery too. Yarba is one of an unknown number of Mauritanians who have been freed from slavery. The government denies that slavery remains a problem, making it difficult to assess the number of those affected. Yarba, like the rest of her family, still lacks papers to pursue other work or an education. Still, Yarba is hopeful for her future, confident that her life and the state of slavery in the country can only improve.
Across Nigeria, Boko Haram has left a trail of death and destruction, all in the name of religion. That parts of this report may be difficult to watch.
In Madala, they bombed a Catholic church on Christmas Day. Shekau, the group's leader, said the girls shouldn't have been in school. God instructed me to sell them. They are his properties and I will carry out his instructions. The Boko Haram videos obtained by VOA show them flogging a boy, executing an old disabled man, and chopping off hands during tribunals, all in the name of Allah.
Principally for propaganda purposes, but when they shot videos that show their faces, it's not for public consumption.
You got the uncut version. How did you get a hold of this video?
Well, VOA received the videos, about 400 something videos, more than 18 hours of video from some sources. And then VOA set up a group that was able to determine that those videos came from a laptop that was captured by the military during a raid in one of the Boko Haram camps. But those videos didn't come directly from the military, it came from a source.
So for those folks who can watch this on voanews.com, this would be the first time many people will be seeing some of this horrendous video.
It will be the first time, even for Nigerians.
The one bullet went through here, went through there, through the chair into the wall there.
In February, armed robbers stormed this farmhouse and opened fire. Estelle Nieuwenhuizen's partner was shot repeatedly at close range.
I was shot 2 times there, one here, and the other one went in here. And it went out of the back of my neck.
The attackers tried to take one final shot at Beres Henrico's head, but the rifle jammed.
I can't get that out of my head, because I believe if that shot went down, the next one was for me.
The robbers escaped and are still at large. Estelle and Berdes have upgraded their security, including an electric fence. But they are left wondering at the motive for the attack. Was it an opportunistic robbery or race-based violence?
Yeah, I am very angry because we haven't done anything to anybody. Why? What is the reason?
I cannot explain it. It's hatred from them. And the most thing they want to do is to disarm our white people. They want our guns, they want our money, and they want our land. That's the main thing.
They want to go.
But the party does call for white farms to be handed back to the millions of black South Africans who work the land but don't own it.
They must leave everything they did not come with here in South Africa and go to Australia.
I mean, nobody here just gets land. Wherever you go, you have to buy your farm, you have to buy your land, you have to buy everything. And so the EFF guys, they just want to take land over, and they say it's their land. So, yeah, it's a problem.
The South African government says it will change the law so it can seize land without compensation.
Land is a matter of pride. The best way that you can restore the pride of our people is to give them back their land.
But the suggestion of special visas for white farmers to go to Australia has angered the South African government.
No one must ever, regardless of which country they find themselves in, must ever undermine how the people of South Africa process their own revolution. We're peace-loving individuals.
So we're not shocked that such a thing would come from Australia. But you see, white people are running away. If they were to run to Australia, they would be running away from themselves. Because, one, they are afraid of equality.
It's getting worse every day.